Hi guys, welcome to the 1 Degree Intro webinar. My name is Emma. I'm so excited to be here with you all and to give you a little overview of what 1 Degree is all about. As we're watching the webinar, you're welcome to ask questions, and we're going to save all of the questions until the end. So you should see a little group chat window on the right side of the screen. That's where you can write any of your questions, and then we'll check them at the end and get to your questions. But for now, we're going to start off by going through some of the basics. I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what 1 Degree is and what we're all about. We're going to talk a little bit about basic search functions. I'll show you a couple different ways to search for community resources on our website. And I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into some of our more advanced features, which you could see webinars about in the future if you're really interested. So first, I'll introduce myself again. My name is Emma. I'm the resource coordinator here. My role is to make sure that all of our resources are up to date, comprehensive, and expansive. And I'm also our member support person. So after the webinar, if you ever have questions about how to use the website, I'm the person that you can talk to on live chat or over email. Great. So let's get started. I'm going to show you guys our slides here. So to give you a little overview of what 1 Degree is all about, 1 Degree is your go-to resource to find any community resources that you need. So whether you're looking for food pantries, housing, a crisis hotline, or legal assistance for immigration issues for your clients, 1 Degree has all of it. So that's basically what we are in a nutshell. Our mission at 1 Degree is to empower people to create a path out of poverty for themselves and for their community. The way you fit into that mission is that we want to have the best possible tools for you to be able to connect your clients to those community resources. And we do that by providing the search functions, by having referrals and community submission edits, which we'll talk about later at the end. And for myself personally, before 1 Degree was a domestic violence counselor, and I remember spending hours and hours trying to Google and go through different nonprofit websites, trying to find the perfect resources for my clients so that I can consolidate it for them and give it to them and make it as easy for them as possible. And when I heard about 1 Degree, I was so excited that there was a platform out there that would do all that work for me so that I could really spend my time focusing on my clients. So I'm really excited to be able to share this with you guys because I know how valuable it is and how crunched for time you may be, and being able to take some of that off your plate and really focus your energy on your client and your work is a huge, huge resource. So I'm excited to share that with you all. Again, our resources for anyone, anywhere, anytime. And we'll talk a little bit more about our accessibility in a little bit. We are also a nonprofit. So even though we're a tech company, we are a nonprofit. We have a bunch of different wonderful funders and partners that we work with to keep ourselves a nonprofit, which means that we can keep our service completely free. So to be a professional member of 1 Degree is free. For their clients, our community members, that is also free. And all of the features that I'm going to show you in this video and in future webinars are all free. And one of our partners is LA County Department of Health Services. So huge thank you to LA County DHS. They are what make it possible for us to be in LA County. So big shout out to all our LA County service providers out there. We're so excited to have just joined you, to have you join our team. We started 1 Degree back 5 years ago, serving just San Francisco. Since then, we've expanded out to the entire Bay Area, all 9 counties. And then in the last month, we've expanded out to include Los Angeles County, which we're so excited about. We have over 250,000 people who have used 1 Degree to find resources online. And before we dig into all the nitty-gritty of how to use 1 Degree, I wanted to address a quick question, which is how you can trust our information. And I know as being a domestic violence counselor in a past life, that was a big concern. for me. So first, we're HIPAA compliant, so you know that all of your information and your client's information is secure. I can also tell you that part of my job is managing a small yet mighty team of data entry folks that make sure that all of our resources are up to date within 6 months, to make sure that we have as many resources as possible and that our resources are comprehensive and easy to use. And then the third piece that keeps us really accessible and make sure that you can trust our information is that we use something called community edits. So I will show you a little bit at the end that you can really easily suggest changes to either organizations or the services on our page. And Francisco, whose picture you see here on the slide, is a great example of that. He's a case manager in Bayview, and he's been in the field for like 15 plus years. And he is a great resource for us because he is the first person to know any changes going on in his community in Bayview in San Francisco. So he's always editing opportunities or organizations on our site so that we are sure that everything is up to date. And a big part of that also is that we want to make sure that you're the experts, and that we want you to be empowered to give your say and to add your input into our system, because you know your community best. And when it comes to accessibility, I'll show you a little bit about this feature later, but one thing is that we are in English and Spanish, so the entire site can easily be changed to Spanish with a click of a button. You can also use OneDegree on any device, so whether it's an iPad or a laptop or a cell phone, you can use OneDegree anywhere. And you can also create an account either using an email, Facebook, Google, or a phone number. And also people are welcome to use OneDegree without an account at all. All right, so let's get into the fun stuff. So right now I am looking on our OneDegree website. It's onedegree.org with the number 1, not a spelt out 1. If you go to OneDegree, this will be your main page. If you don't have an account yet, it'll look a little different. You'll have a little login button here. But I'm logged in as myself right now, so I have a My Account section, which will have my settings and such. The first thing you might notice is that there's a couple of different ways that you can search. So you can search for resources up on this top section. There's a Browse Resources button. There's a New Search button. There's even a couple buttons here that you can use to search as well. So I'm going to start off, before I get into these search functions, let me explain to you a little bit about how OneDegree is organized. So we organize our platform with 3 different components. So the first is opportunities. So normally if you were on an online directory, you would search for maybe it's legal assistance, and you'd get a list of all the organizations in your area that provide legal assistance. So what we do differently is that instead of showing all the organizations, we show you what we call opportunities, which is the actual resource itself. And we provide what to do next instructions, which get you the most specific, closest to the person you need, whether that's a link to an app or the phone number of the person that's in charge of that program or their email address. So our goal is to create as few steps as possible. And I'll show you what an opportunity looks like in a second. The second component is an organization. So organization is like a nonprofit or any organization. And there is a way I'll show you to see just their page, and you can see the list of all of their programs or opportunities that they have. And then the third component is what we call collections, which is sort of like a digital resource binder. So it's a way that you can organize for yourself, your team, or the public, the resources that you sort of want to be able to get to really quickly and share really easily. So the first thing I'll do is I'll show you the search functions, and I'll show you a couple opportunities, and then we can dig into how you can save those opportunities for later and go back to them or share them with your clients. So I'll show you a couple different ways to search. The first way to search that I usually go to is the top search bar up here. So let's say we want to search for food stamps. You can click food stamps. You want to make sure if you create an account, you automatically set your default location. So right now I have it set to Los Angeles County. And you'll come to this screen where you basically have a list of all of the different opportunities that relate to getting food stamps. And so something that I will show you, is already set, is how to filter these search results. So you might be looking at this and there's a lot of information. You see there's 334 opportunities that are remotely related to food stamps in Los Angeles, but you probably want to narrow those down. So I would start by changing the language to Spanish if I'm working with a client that only speaks Spanish. And so this would help me filter down to a couple of fewer opportunities. And the first one we see here is enroll in CalFresh food stamps. And these stars here mean that they have a positive review. So I'm going to click on this and go to the opportunity page. So now I'm on the opportunity page. You can see here that this organization that hosts this opportunity right here is Los Angeles County Department of Public Social Services. But like I said before, the list that you see is not a list of all the organizations. It's a list of the service that they provide. Each opportunity will have a little description that's in really plain, easy to understand language. It'll give you some details about who can use this resource. So here there's a list of all the different languages that they speak at the LA County Department of Public Social Services. And then right underneath that is the what to do next section. So for this one, in order to apply for food stamps, you go to an application link. And the link is right there for you to click. So you can easily, if you're on your laptop or if you have a client that's using their phone, they can really easily get to that application. Let's do another example. So I'm going to go to new search. And maybe I have a woman with children that needs temporary housing. So I'm going to use one of these colorful buttons. I'm going to say, oh, here's housing. I'm going to click housing. And then I know that I'm looking for temporary housing. So I'm going to click on that category. And I want to find temporary shelter for my client. Something to note as a service provider, if you're using OneDegree to help multiple clients, the filters will save, which is really helpful for the community member because it'll always have their filters saved for them. But if you're working with multiple different clients, just remember to clear your filter so you're not missing any opportunities in your search. So I have temporary shelters in Los Angeles County. So let's say I'm working with a woman, she only speaks Spanish. She's in Los Angeles County. Maybe she's looking for a shelter with her child, and she is a female. So now I've narrowed down my search. Here's Get Transitional Shelter at Rainbow Services. That sounds perfect for what we're looking for. I'm going to click on that opportunity. And like I showed you just before, we have all the information we need right here. Something else to note in the opportunities, if you scroll down here, when you have a maps, you can really easily go to Google Maps and get directions to their office. This one isn't a great example of that because this is a confidential shelter, so it won't give you the address, but most resources will have the exact address and you can plug it right in. Another great feature here is reviews and notes feature. So for the reviews, you can leave a review like you would leave a review on Yelp. So you can say how great you loved the service and specific things about it that you really liked. You can also leave notes. So notes are sort of like tips. So let's say I know that my clients always work with Susan, and she's sort of my go-to person. So I'll say, ask for Susan. And this can be a note that I share either just for myself to remind myself. I can share it with my whole team. So whatever your team, your organization is, will be right there. Or if I feel like this is a good tip for everyone to know, then I'll share it with everyone. In this case, it sounds like it'd be a good tip just for my team. So I'll submit that note. And now that note will appear here on the opportunity page. And then you can do the same process with reviews. And let me show you one more way to do a search. So we did the new search here just now. That's where you got all the boxes. You can type in your search here, and that's how you get to the same list as well. And then a third way to do it, which is sort of similar to this box section, is that you can go to Browse Resources here. So this sort of gives you a drop-down list. So if I was looking for the same service, a temporary shelter, I go to Housing. And just like before, how it prompted me through all these subcategories, I find temporary housing, and then I can go to temporary shelters. And like I said before, it'll already have my searches filtered here. So let's do one more example using the Browse Resources. So let's say that I am looking for legal assistance. So I'll go to Legal. I have a client that needs help with immigration law. I go over to Legal Assistance. I see immigration law here. And let's say I'm working with a new client. They live in downtown Los Angeles. So I want to make sure it's close to where they live. And they speak Spanish. So now I see a nice list of all these resources. Now let's say I want to like really narrow it down to where they live. I can also use this map function here. And I can get a little bit closer to downtown Los Angeles. And if you move that around, it'll sort of search for you these different resources that are in this area, and you can just pop them up like that. Great. So we've seen a couple of different search options here. Now I'm going to show you how you can save all of these opportunities, because if you do all this work of doing the search, you want to make sure you can find these resources later and not repeat your work, right? So the first thing you can do is what we call bookmarking it. So to do a bookmark, you would use these little heart icons here. So you can see I already bookmarked a couple of them here. And because these are already bookmarked, you can see them here in the My Bookmarks section. So let's say I want my client to have access to these two opportunities. I also want to make sure that they check out this one from Chinatown Service Center. So I will click on the heart, and then I can either add it right here to my bookmarks by clicking on the heart there. And then I'm done. And maybe I realize, oh, oops, I gave them two opportunities at the same center. And we're looking at helping a client with undocumented children, so we don't need this one anymore. So I click the heart here. And then to remove from my bookmarks, I just click on the heart again. And you can see now it's no longer yellow. That means it was removed from my bookmarks, and I'm all set. And you can do that with any resources you want, and they'll show up right here in your bookmarks. So another way to save resources. So this is good for your own use. This is just going to show up on your account. This is not something that you can share really with others. But a great way to share resources with others is something that we call collections. So I mentioned collections before. They're sort of like a digital resource finder. The great thing about using collections on One Degree is that we update all of the resources every 6 months. So if something changes, or a program no longer exists, or they change their hours, all that information is automatically going to be updated in your collection. You don't have to do anything. It'll just live there. And you can decide with your collections whether you want to have other people manage it also, if you want it just be for you, if you want it to be something that is shared across your entire organization, or shared across everyone who uses One Degree. So there's a lot of great options there. I'll show you an example right now of a collection that we have for One Degree. It's LGBTQ resources in the Bay Area. Something you can do here is create different categories, and then within each of these categories, you'll find different resources listed here. And these will be all of the different opportunities that they can find under the Get Some Support category. So let's create our own. So I'll do the little plus sign here under my collections. I'm going to give it a title. Let's say we're going to make a collection that we would share anytime we have a new family that's just immigrated to the US, and we want to give them sort of their go-to resources. So I'll say new families to LA County. And I'll make sure that I'm only getting resources in Los Angeles. I can decide if this is either a collection that is under my name, is under my whole organization's name. I'm going to keep it under my name for now, and then you can decide if it's public, only for your organization, or private. Since we're working on it together right now, I'm going to make it private, but you can easily change this setting later, and I'll show you how. So now I'm going to go to my empty collection, and it gives you a little message letting you know that you need to add something. So to add anything, you can add a category or find resources to add. So let's just start by adding a couple resources. So I know that my new family is going to need some food. So I remember earlier I went to see food stamps. And I remember seeing this enroll in CalFresh. So just like I did before to get bookmarks, I click on that little heart there. And then instead of just seeing my bookmarks, now I see the new families in LA County option. And so I can press the heart and add it to my collection. And then maybe I feel like they'll need temporary shelter like we looked at before. Once they first arrive here, I can go through these filters like I did last time. If I have just a mother, a single mother with children, I want to make sure that she can get emergency shelter if she needs it. So I'll give a heart here, do another heart here, and then that's added to my collection. And let's say, like again, we looked at immigration law in downtown LA. This is a good example of clearing your filters. And I see this is the one that I'd saved before, and I want to add it to this collection here. So I'll give it a heart and then say done. And now I realize, okay, all of these services, I want to add a couple of each category, right? I want to add a couple different immigration law options, a couple of different ways to get food. Maybe I'll add some food pantries. So I'm going to go back to my collection here on the sidebar, right here. And I'm going to make some categories. So I'm going to scroll down here, click Add New Category, and I'll start with food. Create category. Now I have this food category. If I go back to new families in LA County, I can scroll down, and here's one of the resources I want to add to my food category. I click the heart again, and if I click this little arrow here, it'll show me the categories, so I can add it to food, and then I'll remove it from the main page, and then click done. And then I can add another category, do the same thing. I can do legal, create the category as it loads. Sometimes Safari and I don't get along too well. There we go. And then same thing with this one. You can click the heart, arrow, add it to legal, and then remove it from the main page. Now, let's say I go through the process, I create this whole collection full of great stuff. I have a bunch of categories. I have multiple opportunities in each of these different categories, and I want to share it with my team. And I know that I know a lot about legal assistance and food assistance in Los Angeles County, but my coworker Audrey is like the go-to person for housing. So I want to make sure that she can add and edit resources here. So I'm going to go up to this section right here called Manage Collaborators. Right now I have my permissions for myself, which I'm going to keep the same. And then I'll go to Invite Collaborators, select the type of collaborator. Right now it's selecting viewer, but I just said that I want Audrey to be able to add and remove resources. So I'll change it to editor. And then I'll just type in her email address, audrey@onedegree.com. And I'm going to send her an invitation to collaborate with me. And then say, I'm done. So now Audrey will get an email that will give her access to this collection, and then she can add all of her housing resources to this collection. And maybe in the future, once it's complete, I'll add it to our organization page. And then anytime we have a new client come in who is new to the US and just moved to LA County, I can share this collection with them really easily. And we have a couple of minutes here before we get into questions. So I will show you very quickly how to do a referral or a community edit. So first, I'll show you how to share. That's an important step. So like I just said, if you wanted to share this with one of your clients, there's a share button right here. You can easily email or text it to them. If you text or email it to them, it basically sends them a link to this web page, or the finished web page, not the one where you can edit things, but it'll show them everything on a website easily. Now let's say I have a family that's new, but they only need help with legal assistance. So I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna say, get low cost legal services. Perfect, this is what I wanna refer them to. So I can use this arrow button right here and I can make them a referral. As I make referrals, I'm gonna say select. They'll show up for this client right here. I'll click done. And then if you once I clicked on it, automatically brought me to their referral page. And I can add a bunch of different referrals. I can add notes for Carol's referrals. And then when I say submit, it'll give me options to send it off to Carol so that she can either get it over email in her own One Degree account or over text message. There will also be an option for you to print a PDF of all the referrals. So if you're seeing them in person, you can do that really easily too. And then the last thing that I will give you a little sneak peek into is the ability to edit opportunities. So if I go back to this opportunity we were talking to you about before, there's a suggest edits button at the top. So if I am familiar with their program and I know they open at 8, not 9, I can go to suggest edits. Yes, I'll make edits directly. And I can easily scroll down to their schedule, use these little pencil icons and make edits. And for now I will cancel because I don't know if that's true or not. And if you know that something's wrong, like if you know that they changed their address but you don't know the address, you can also do suggest edits and no, but I know it's wrong. And it'll walk you through how to submit those changes as well. So for both the referrals, which is what I just showed you over here with Carol, or with this suggest edits function, we're gonna have 2 webinars coming up that will help you with that. The first one is the referral sneak peek, which is August 23rd at noon. And then we'll also have a submitting resources webinar that I'll be hosting as well, which is September 1st. Let me switch gears here. Hi, everyone. So that's the end of this intro webinar. It was really quick, but I hope you feel like you got a good sense of what One Degree is, our mission and our drive in this work, and also a good idea of how to use some of the basic features. I'm really excited that you guys are here. I'm so pumped to see you all using One Degree, adding resources, referring resources. And if you get started and you hit a snag, the great thing is that I am the member support person, so you can just ask me directly. You can either use live chat, which was the yellow box that says, how can we help on the bottom right of your screen. You can send me a quick message. If I'm not online, it'll send me an email and I'll reply within 24 hours. But most of the time I'm on live chat, and then you can just chat with me directly and say like, Emma, I can't remember. How do I do that search with all the cool buttons? What was that? And I'll help you do it. And you can also just email me directly at help@onedegree.org. That's One Degree with a number 1, not a spelt out 1. So that's everything I have to share with you guys. We have 2 minutes left. So if you have any questions, we can get to your questions. Let me check out the video here. Does anybody have any questions so far? Okay, well, I have a couple questions that I can offer that are sort of common questions we get. So one question that we get that's pretty common is, do we serve more than Los Angeles County? So right now we serve all of the Bay Area. So that's San Francisco, East Bay, all of the 9 Bay Area counties. And then we also serve the entire Los Angeles County. So it's a big area. We're really excited to be in Los Angeles. Another question that we might get a lot is asking about security. So we talked at the beginning of the security question and how to access resources easily. So I'll reiterate that for security, we're HIPAA compliant, and we also have a team that updates the resources every 6 months. And then the community submissions piece that I showed you at the end is another really good way for you to offer your own submissions. If you kind of beat us to the punch and hear about something that's changed for an organization, you can submit those edits directly, and they'll be looked over and then put live on the site within 1 to 3 days. And another thing to keep in mind that I actually realized I forgot to show you how to do is how to change the site into Spanish. So let me share my screen with you again. So we're back on the One Degree website. If you're logged into your account, you'll have a My Accounts button on the top right. If you click on My Account, Espanol is right there. This will change everything on the entire site to Spanish. This is a really good function if you want to share resources with your clients, like a collection or referrals, or just one opportunity, but you want it to be in Spanish. If you do compartir, you can send it to them on Facebook or send them the link, text, or email, and it'll send it to them in the Spanish format. So when they go onto the site, it'll show up in Spanish and they can continue on with their search with everything in Spanish. If you're not logged into an account, so if you have a client doesn't have a login, the Espanol button will be right here on the sidebar. So it'll be really easy for them to find if they go on the site without your link. Hello again. Let's see if there are any other questions. And if not, we'll wrap up the webinar for the day. And if you have any questions later, because I know sometimes you might have questions like 2 minutes after the webinar ends or something. Again, you can just use the live chat feature on the bottom right of your screen and chat me, or you can use our help@onedegree.org and ask me questions using that. So thank you so much. I'm really happy to see that we're in Los Angeles County. I'm really excited for you to be using this resource and connecting your clients to this resource. Again, I welcome any of your questions in the future, and I hope to keep in touch and see what amazing things you do with One Degree. Thank you so much. Bye.